Welcome back to Explain America. This is your host, Kyle Becker. It's just about enough out of Ilhan Omar. Many Americans are calling for the expulsion of Omar after her most recent comments on the Charlie Kirk assassination. She has said extreme things in the past, and much of that seemed to be commonplace, radical political rhetoric, the type you would see from the likes of AOC and the rest of her radical squad members. But the case that she has now going against her, it is absolutely evidence that she needs to be expelled from Congress and potentially deported as far as many Americans are concerned. So before we get into the story, please like, share, and comment at Explain America. Join us. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. Ilhan Omar, a Somalian refugee who came to America on dubious grounds, potentially committed immigration fraud, and has been as anti-American a Congress member as it comes, has finally gone too far. In the opinion of many Americans, she has crossed the line and she has added fuel to the fire of the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination. In a absolutely virulent and unacceptable post, she reposted and amplified and echoed an absolutely hateful and inaccurate, misleading video that called Charlie Kirk a terrorist after his death. And this is a quote from the video, and I'm going to show you this segment in particular. But the quote is, "Kirk was a reprehensible human being, a stochastic terrorist. With his last dying words, he was spewing racist dog whistles. Charlie Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein, and his monster shot him through the neck." Unquote. Let's take a look at this video to give you an idea of what Ilhan Omar thinks about Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk's dead, and before his body got cold, the far right propped his corpse up as a cudgel for their holy war. I've never seen more people within the same sentence both condemn political violence and then immediately call for political violence against their opposition. Don't be fooled. These people don't give a single shit about Charlie Kirk. They are just using his death to further their Christo-fascist agenda. And before I continue, I need to say that this revisionist history about who Kirk was is just as perplexing. I'm seeing all these heartfelt statements coming from Democratic politicians and celebrities applauding Kirk as some bastion of free speech and debate. Kirk was a reprehensible human being. He enacted his political agenda by preying upon weak-minded people. He took complex socioeconomic issues and simplified them by pointing fingers at outgroups, demonizing those groups, and then sicking his massive following on them. He was a stochastic terrorist, an adamant transphobe. He denied the genocide happening in Palestine. He believed in the subjugation of women, and with his last dying words, he was spewing racist dog whistles. Charlie Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein, and his monster shot him through the neck.
It gets worse. This comes after Omar was on a podcast with Mehdi Hassan, and she again effectively blamed Charlie Kirk for his own death, essentially blaming the right-wing rhetoric for contributing to the factors that led to his assassination. Let's take a look at that.
What I do know for sure is that, Charlie was someone who once said, guns save lives, after a school shooting. Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth should never exist. And I think, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
Complete rewriting of history.
Yeah, there is nothing more effed up, than to completely pretend that his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade or so. And
You might notice that both of them were sharing grins throughout this comment because they know how incendiary it is. They know how false it is. They know how misleading it is. And they are taking glee in deceiving Americans and trying to stoke more political violence. This is completely unacceptable for a member of Congress. There is no place for it in American politics. And there needs to be reprisals against this behavior unless institutions want to see more of this behavior. So if Congress wants members advocating for political violence, cheering it on, blaming victims for being shot and killed by the radical left, this needs to be condemned, not swept under the rug, not chided or scolded lightly. Serious repercussions. We need to see Ilhan Omar regretting what she said and what she did. Fully and completely. And she needs to be out of our political system. So to give you an idea of what needs to happen, I'm going to show you a video of what happened with one woman who made a hateful video about Charlie Kirk and apparently lost her job over it. And this is what needs to happen to Ilhan Omar. And if you have any thoughts about this after the video, we welcome your feedback.
Did I realize that what I was saying in that video was going to lead to this? No, my daughter is about to go to college, and I don't know now how I'm going to pay for that.